Oh, I had to stop because I realized the mic was sitting off to the side. I agree. How difficult is it to just remember to put the mic in your lap? I know, people. It's not easy being me. Anyway, so where was I? So yeah, the broke that, so I couldn't do the Mac. Went up there with Helen though, and we had a great time, but we drank a lot. As you do, especially when you don't participate. It's like being a bystander to that. Oh. And there's, I mean, no way I could do it again for so many reasons, but they were good then, and now let's move on. So I had to tell her that I was wounded. God. So, before you think I'm a medical nightmare, I failed to mention the several arterial... Oh, God. This, you guys don't even know how prophetic this is. I mean, I do. But, oh my gosh. So, before you think I'm a medical nightmare, I failed to mention the severed arterial artery that happened when I was cutting drywall during my formidable home renovation years, 2004. Yes, it looked like a CSI crime scene. Okay, sorry, I don't want you to get the impression that I'm accident prone. That certainly, oops, darn it, I cut myself. My left hand just fell off, not again, double rats, oh. But that's true. That's true. And, you know, when that little thing gets put in your head, and I forgot about that until now. Okay, so I was needing money, as we all do, and our neighbors got to know them, and they needed some renovation work done. I volunteered and said, you know, we'll work out a deal, but I need something to do, and if I can help you out, then win-win-win. Now, I was up there, they had a small attic, you know, one of those, probably the peak is 4 foot for their kids to play in. Now, I was in the back putting drywall scraps together against the insulation, and honestly, I looked at the blade and something said, you got to change that blade, but it was one of those real thin ones. Yep, right there, that baby. And I looked at it, and it wasn't very sharp, and it was like, you should change this or use a different knife. And my brain saying, look, don't, alarm. And I'm grinding that thing in with the blade out. It breaks in my right hand, and I stab my wrist. And gush. I mean, gush. And it was the artery. And it just sprayed all over the place. And I grabbed a towel. I wrapped it around the wrist and put pressure. All the way. I'm not panicking. I'm just going, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And I went downstairs, and I'm running around, and I ran into, it was Erin and Mark Lounsbury. Ran into her, sort of, and she goes, what happened? She goes, it's bad. It's bad. And I ran out in the street to come back around to our house, because there's a gate and everything. But as I went around, Mick was coming home from the hospital. She was working as the ER nurse. And no. She was coming home. She was working at 5 Point? Hold on. See, I had to do this. 5 cap. 5 Point. 5 cap. That's where Mick was working. Now I gotta see if she's still there, but not doing it. But back to the story. So she was working at 5 cap coming home. We just right in the intersection of 2nd Avenue and Lowell, or whatever that is. She took me straight to the hospital. The thing is, that was the ER room where she had just gotten fired from a few months before and couldn't go in with me. I ended up having to have surgery and stayed overnight to sew up my wrist. But I was a bleeder. Oh, but, you know, probably the takeaway is not only that and the stitches in my wrist, worst point of my life. Kind of fate struck twice. We'll leave it at that. Anyway. Yep. Editor's note. Okay, enough with the health check items. Back to current events. Oh my gosh, she's just... Oh, we're on page 3. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, we're just going along swimmingly. Back to current events. After the 2002 Mac race, I did the boat delivery back to Chicago, and on that return trip, stopped in Pentwater for the back from the Mac party. This is true. The owner of the boat I raced on, fully ado, dated the gal who lived part-time in Pentwater and organized the event. Long story short, I stepped foot on land and fell absolutely in awe of the village and swore I'd move here to pursue the writing, illustrating stuff. And herein lies the rest of the story. Now, that's absolutely true and exactly what I was talking about, where I stepped foot in Pentwater and I go, I have to live here and take my career. But it was like, I can't not live here, meaning you gotta live there, right? So, it was weird, but things were bad. The 2002 was with Miles, and Mickey wasn't in the scene. My life got back together, thank you to, yeah, him. It's like, do I use Yahweh, or do I say God, or was it just, yeah, not me. Life was put back together, but I didn't read the fine print. No, that's not true. I didn't read any of the print. Anyway. Well, after setting foot on land, I then puked after the harrowing 35-plus 8 to 10-foot seas that dragged us ashore during the storm. Kidding. I was like, what? Anyway. A year later, I bought this stupid house. Yeah. And my sewer is backed up 4 times since then. I'm now one of 900, not one in a million back in Chicago, although that's where I work, engineering-wise, for the most part these days. Oh, population. I'm now one of 900 people in the village instead of being back in Chicago where I was one of a million. Okay. Although that's where I work. Oh, then yeah. But I've got this job that at this point, Mr. Baked Brain sent a bunch of emails that were too bizarre to even... if I find them, I'll show them, but I haven't found them, and I know they're so cringeworthy. At some point, I'll tell you what they were at, but not now. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the crux. Okay, the real rest of the story is this. I was diagnosed with HSE, herpes simplex encephalitis recently, which was actually diagnosed back in mid-late 90s, but was overlooked due to the orthopedic roller coaster I was riding back then. Blam! Not trying to be so overtly dramatic, but there it is. Instead of doing what I originally did when I first heard of HSE, thought it meant I got it from sitting on a toilet seat at Minneapolis airport parking next to a incumbent congressman or something similar. So yeah, it's okay. It speaks for itself. But the thing with the 90s, I'll tell you in a second. I didn't take it seriously, however. Recently, there was a serious period of mortality which was awfully overwhelming. Rather, a sad form of a big reality check, for lack of better words. Now, in the 90s, I was getting so lightheaded, and it was after the surgeries, and it turns out, I don't want to use all the what it took to figure out what was going on, but it turns out that for whatever reason, my body reacts with low blood pressure and a high heart rate when there's physical stress. And it's just pain, in a lot of pain. I just don't like saying a lot of pain. When that happens, I get so lightheaded, I can pass out. Now, Jane, she would see that, but she knew that I took Tylenol PMs at times like they were chiclets. That I just, or pop them like Tic Tacs, because I need something to get out of the miserable head that I was in, and the miserable body. So my go-to was to have Tylenol PMs. Like when we went to a movie theater, I was so uncomfortable. But then I thought, well, you know, it's unfair for her. She wants to go see a movie, and I'm being a little whatever. So I'd take a bunch of Tylenol PMs. They wouldn't make me sleep. They'd just make me settle down a little bit to sit through a movie being uncomfortable. But she saw that, and then when I started passing out, she goes, "Why are you just taking too many Tylenol PM you got in your pocket?" Because she'd wash my clothes, and there'd be a bunch of pills in the pockets. And I don't know. Maybe I did have a problem with the Tylenol PM. But the reason I did what I did was to crawl out of my head and the body I was in. That was the way to do it. Now, what could I have done? Gone to God and, begged? Yeah. It couldn't have hurt. So, anyway, I don't have that as being part of the big equation, but maybe I'm missing that point. So I went to we had a family doctor. They did a MRI on my head, and they came up with something, but it wasn't anything to really look into. And at the time I wrote this letter to Jill, I was thinking back at that, and that's one of the reasons I had to go back to Chicago, was to get that MRI report and find out what was going on. But I had it like, oh yeah, so when I was passing out, that was what they were talking about. Because they mentioned some little thing and kind of blew it off. And I thought, well, herpes sounds right. I'd blow that off going, herpes? Not bloody likely. So, yeah, I'm telling her about the brain explosion, because I thought I was dying. I didn't take it seriously. Better words. Okay. For lack of a better description of HSE, indicating what happened, my brain blew up over Thanksgiving. Literally. And I bet you I talk about a remote infarct at some point. I bet you. 13 by 4 millimeters. I bet you. The important thing I wanted to do regarding the intent of this letter was to simply express some regrets that, like the first 2.5 pages, I regret that already, Jill, and I'm going to write about it. The important thing I wanted to do regarding the intent of this letter was to simply express some regrets that I have held on to for years and apologize to you for all my creepy behavior when we were much younger and more innocent. Now, note this, that I think I'm a goner, and I'm going to the one person that I think, oh my gosh, it's, doomsday, and I want her to know how I feel. Now, take the Andrea letter, if I'm dying, bring it on. I'm ready to leave this little pit stop called Earth. But unfortunately, I think it's going to get dragged on a little bit more than I wanted to, but it is what it is. And the reason I sent the letter to Andrea is because I don't think she's a believer, let alone a strong believer of Scripture, and so that's why same format, different purpose. Anyway, I apologize for all my creepy behavior when we were much younger and more innocent. Because she always felt bad after she got divorced, that she thought, oh, I'm this horrible old person who got divorced, and I'm like, you know what, I'll get over a few the rough edges, but ain't one of them. Oh, God. And I made a video last night. Oh, that was fun. I made my first music video. It's just photographs, but oh my God, it was fun. I know why perfectionists have a hard time, like directors and stuff. Not that I'm a Spielberg, but I do love the little details to make it just right. Yeah, there's a video out now for the little flying example, the flying trip with Jill in the plane. It's like 18 minutes. Actually, there's 2. It's good. It's good. I'm happy with it. I hope the boss is happy with it. It was fun. Anyway, okay, here we go. You think the foot's in the mouth? No. We've had a toe in the mouth. We're going for the main arch of the heel is going to get rammed down the throat now. I do believe some innocence is lost in youth. Oh, I didn't finish when she felt bad about her being married. Oh, yeah, I did. But she just said she felt she lost her innocence. And so I was picking up on that. Saying, remember those 3 words you said once? I've held on to them forever. I wish it were true, but anyway. I do believe some innocence is lost in youth, but when I came across this package entitled Dallas the Big Hurt, here we go. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, sphincters, don't fail me now. Oh, God, please, don't edit. They'll know you cut something out. I do believe, oh my God, you said it, stop, it was an envelope called Dallas the Big Hurt, and I think it's still in pet water. That's what I'm afraid of, because what am I going to do if that's there? I'm going to get the memo at the staff meeting. Well, guy couldn't make it, but he left this message for you that says, read those letters. And I'm like, no, he didn't. Oh, God. Anyway, it really brought back some phenomenally wonderful yet distressing memories. In fact, I was really surprised I still had it. No, you weren't. As I found it obscurely tucked away in a box of poster tubes which were about to get tossed due to water and poop damage. I think that's kind of true. Something was about to happen, and I had to do something, and all of a sudden I was like, no, wait a minute, what's in here? It's like, oh my God, because I was a little surprised I had them. So, okay, maybe I am telling the truth. Had I not discovered them, all this would have likely been overlooked. I think that's true. In this package were the letters written 30 years ago, and I reread them as if it were yesterday. Oh my God, and Born to Run's on. It just started. Can you hear this? You gotta hear this. I'm not turning it down. I'm still here. Can you hear it? Hopefully. Here we go. Okay, unedited. I'll have to stick in some funny captions because I want to make sure that you guys see how, yep, he's a DJ, he's an IT specialist. It's pretty unbelievable. Oh my God. Well, Born to Run was the song that was absolutely the trigger because she turned me on to Springsteen and I did the Born to Run stuff. You guys know about that already. Well, at least it's been recorded. Oh my God, my heart's just a little thumping. It's just like, wow, how do you do that? Anyway, so yeah, okay. In this package were letters written 3 years ago, and before I start creeping you out again, I had to think hard if I really wanted to mention any of this to you at all. Truth be told, I debated this over and over, need about 40 more over and overs, wondering how you would feel reading this letter. But, given the circumstances, wondering if the viral attack on my brain was going to put me into the next terrestrial life form, thus allowing my stunt double to completely take over my existence, while I joined Tom Cruise's Scientology life forms. I really felt this was the right thing to do. That's absolutely true. I had to write her. I had to. Anyway. Trust me, this is very, very difficult to write. But if it were me, I would love knowing that I had such a positive effect on someone else. Yeah, fat chance. Oh, God. Oh, God, I just threw myself off for a second. Would I ever get a letter from someone saying, you know what, you're such a neat guy that I always looked up to you, and you're such a role model. And it's like, no, I'm a role model for human error. Read the shtick tag I've got going on. Oh, my God. Someone called it, you're my idol. Oh, yeah, things will never happen. I'll take it for 500, Alex. God. Oh, trust me, it's very difficult to write. Oh, buddy, you should have read the... I'm not going to say it yet. I won't say it yet. Oh, this letter's been read and reread. Oh, And as humble as life has been, which has kicked my butt time to time, you have no idea how much knowing you has helped me through life. Enough said. I wish, but I must continue. Now see here, we're only on page 3, and look at the margins that I'm at. So at one point, I learned to stop writing, like here, you know, maybe 75% of the way down, 80% of the way down, because I would just find fat and extra ideas. But already on page 3, the end of page 3, you can't see it, page 3, I'm at the pushing the limits of having to use architectural drawings to write one page. Wow. Yep, I must continue. At least this won't be embarrassing. I don't know if this arrow thing's working out or not. Oh well. Let's see what... See, that's where I know. Because the page thought, or the thought ends at the bottom of the page. I guess I haven't finished my thought. Each page speaks for itself. So when you put it in things like that, it's like, I just messed everything up. Don't do that. Do a format. Oh, forget. Just, you guys got a bigger picture to keep you happy. Let me explain this creepy phenomenon for you before you get the silly image of me sitting in a candlelit shrine-filled room surrounded with Jill Guthrie pictures and images. All those pictures are of Julia Roberts and Ellie McPherson. Oh my God. I promise. Oops. I have to edit that out. I promise. I took down all of Brittany's posters last month. Toink. Brain implosion number 364. Well, that's not her name anymore, so it doesn't make it. In fact, not for the reason you think, I thought if it slips out that what her last name was, her original, her birth name, that you could find her, and you can't. So there. Not that I was trying to find out recent picture. I don't do that. I don't do that. Retrospective flashback. I think you already know, but I went out with this girl in high school, and just before her homecoming senior year, she was killed in a car accident. Unfortunately, it took almost 10 years to realize that Laura was actually interested in dating my best friend, Rich. And between the two of them, they couldn't figure out a nice way to tell me that they wanted to date each other. Point being, had there not been this horrific accident that suddenly took Laura away, more so, had she lived, it would have been the pure situation of some dork getting dumped for his best friend. Then I would have gone on to hate Rich, maybe even get in a fist fight and maim him, then get kicked out of school, never graduating and going on to Purdue, and only being able to get a job painting picket fences for all of the gated communities that took over the farmland where I once lived in high school. Blah, 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 toink. Now, if you didn't get it, I know at one point I said, I've been happy in life when Miles threatened to throw me out to paint fences. And all the other stuff was, yeah, that was my reality check when I realized that had Laura lived, she would have dumped me and that would have been it. But she was taken away, and it just didn't work for me until I figured out, put it into perspective. Probably blathered a little bit more on that, but I don't know why I'm telling her, though. Honest to God, I don't know why I'm telling her. Maybe I'm telling me. Ooh, is that it? Or am I telling... Nah, it's too early. The real point being, time would not have stood still for me with that memory, rather image of Laura, and what she meant to me, had there not been that accident. Regrettably, the emotional shock devalued any interest with any other person for an abnormal amount of time. Yeah, talk about 10 years. That's a little abnormal for someone who just took someone out on a first date. Oh, God. Talk about drama club. Were you in drama club in high school? Nah, well, now that I think about it. Further, I made a stupid declaration to myself that before I were to ever be... Oh, what did I say? Further, I made a stupid declaration to myself that before I were to ever went through... Good diction, dopehead. Further, I made a stupid declaration to myself that, semicolon, before I were to ever went through another potential loss of that magnitude, it had better be a darn incredible person to make it worth my while. Before I were to. Miles always corrected my English because my English drove him as insane as him correcting me for when I'd say ain't. I say ain't on purpose because of the exact word of what ain't is. Anyway, it drove him crazy. Just like juicy fruit gum. Anyway. Although I'm sure it's hard to imagine, I was rather timid and diffident in high school. That is, until I dated the entire varsity cheerleading squad my junior year. It was with this unreserved nerve I was able to get the fortitude of mind to ask Laura out my senior year. It was either asking her out or the reigning Miss Illinois, who I had my eyes set on for weeks. And more importantly, I had absolutely no idea who Julia Roberts or Ellie McPherson was at the time. However, on September 29, 1977, my original level of shyness returned and never recovered for a long, long time. Well, as you may know, when I moved into Shreve Hall with some of the same people I hang around to this day, I think there were at least 11 Shrevites that became Fight Elves. That's true. There was a sister suite on the other half of the co-ed complex. Oh, how things have changed. Every other room is now co-ed. Give me a break. I think Shreve is still boy side, girl side, but I don't know. On the adjacent side of Shreve was where Julie Seigal resided. Now, let's go here for a second. Julie Seigal was a wonderful, charming, cute girl. And had I not had this shtick of Jill just wedged in my brain, that Julie would have been a perfectly cute girl that I probably came across that I flirted with her, and she probably even knew that I was talking with her through to get to Jill. And boy, do I deserve a little whack in the shins on that one, because she was a sweet girl, and I wrote her a lot, but it was dually purposed. And I would, see, when I'm dual purposed, I'll call myself out and tell the other person I'm dual purpose. But at least I do that enough. So when I called up wrote Julie, but the thing Julie and I took heed to in our lives was, I told her about Laura after she told me about her brother. Julie's brother was on the Evansville basketball, University of Evansville, I thought it was a high school team, woo. Or remembered, University of Evansville plane crash, December 13th, 1977. And I started talking with Julie, because we'll find Seigal. I haven't looked, but I know it's there. I know it's there. So yeah, she said, yeah, my brother just died last year in that plane crash. I go, what plane crash? The basketball team. I said, I don't know anything about it. Basketball. Because she's from Evansville, and Indiana is all basketball. In Chicago, we don't live, die, and, well, that's a poor choice of words, but basketball is basketball in Indiana. But yeah, her brother was on that flight. Wow, I'm going to lose it. Mark Seigal, Julia's brother. The Happiest Springsteen song is on. Oh my God. Yeah, so that's Julie. And Julie was Jill's roommate, and yeah. Oh, can you imagine? Now it's all weepy about my little drama. That was a good wake-up call. It was like, you know what? You're not the only guy that had a bad senior year. Oh, so anyway, got to know Julie, and there we go. In fact, Julie, and I might make this tape a little bit shorter just because Julie and I, we'd meet on Sundays for the movies in the Shreve lobby, and I'll stick in a picture. But we'd sit in the lobby, and there's a person in front that had the beanbag chair in the middle, I think we were watching Rhinestone Cowboy. I started unzipping the guy's bag, and the pellet started coming out. It was a double bag, though, because, you know, all throughout the movie, she was kind of like my Kim Stoll at Hemmons Auditorium. That's an exactly perfect analogy of Julie. She was the Kim Stoll for at least freshman year and maybe a little bit longer. Oh, God. So we were just joking around, and I unzipped the guy's bag in front. Then he got to the bottom, and he realized it's like nothing's pouring out. The guy didn't move or anything, and I keep unzipping it and wait to see if there's any reaction. Nothing. Still glued to the movie, unzipping it. You get to the bottom, and it's like, oh, it's a double zipper. So then I start unzipping the bottom. All of a sudden, it's just like everything started pouring out. We had to bolt. And we came back later that night, and the whole room and the perimeter is all full of those little styrofoam things. Oh, my God. Oh, if I want one person to hear that story, it's Miss Julie Seigal. Oh, I have no idea what. I have no idea how to find out who, what, when, where. But, oh, my gosh, if she would remember that. It was just, and they're like little tumbleweeds on the corners, though. Because the guy probably just had to get up, and I was like, what? What was it? Oh, my gosh. Too fun. See, I like going through these letters. I like the memories, some of them. All right. So, yeah, Miss Julie Seigal. Kim Stoll of Shreve Hall. Absolutely. Oh my God. Oh, my God. See, I honestly don't think... I don't care if anyone believes me. I honestly can't even imagine why I would write this to Jill. I honestly don't. But here we go. See, it'd probably be a different movie. I knew the guy was lying. You guys were seeing Klutz. I met Julie during those Sunday night movies in the study lounge when we unzipped someone's beanbag and all the stuffing began flowing out. We had to dodge before they discovered why their body was slowly sinking. Oh, my first calculation. I know I say it. Yep. See, now I can glance ahead enough. Slowly sinking into the floor at a rate of 1.3 centimeters per second. Yes, performing. I remember saying that. My first engineering calculation even back then. Anyway, Julie and I talked about stuff to include the loss of her brother on the Evansville basketball team, and I shared some of my stuff with her. See, that's why I really thought it was her high school team. Anyway, not that makes sense. Okay, I'll skip out the next part. Out of mutual embarrassment, enter Dan Klinkar, who smashed an ice cream cone, an Irish ream song. Oh my gosh, deluxe in mouth eye. Enter Dan Klinkar, who smashed an ice cream cone on my head in the cafeteria. Then Julie indicated she had lived in the adjacent suite and that we should all do something. We got together at some function and got introduced. Enter 5 Point Buck, about to get obliterated by a Mack truck. I have no idea. Anyway, that was about the first time I met you, Toink. The fear of rejection was only superseded by sheer fear. Oh, she has to be scared. She's telling her husband, honey, do you know that guy that works at the FBI still? Could you call him up? Didn't you go to school with the guy in the CIA? Can he find out what this guy is? And, I would. Why am I writing her like this? Well, I'm not going to say it's due to the brain being fried, but, I mean, I'd like to joke that it was, but, God, this is bad. I may throw in the towel. I may throw in the towel pretty soon. I gotta call an audible. I'm calling audible on this one. I got proof. I don't like this. No. Because even though 2 pages are images, I gotta go forward. No. Look, I'm going to call an audible. No. See, I know the last... Oh, you can't see that. No. I'm calling an audible. The last 2 pages are images. Right? So we got that. But this is painful. Not that it brings back memory. It's just shameful that, I don't know. I gotta see what the big guy says at staff meeting tonight. So I'm going to wrap up and call it a day. Yeesh. See you later.